Hi, I'm Lonnie.
I'm Amberlicious.
We're Untitled Nerd Network. This is the first ever review for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yep.
First episode's called New World Order. Clock's in at 49 minutes.
With 6 minutes of credits.
Yes. Yeah, a 49-minute episode, but only 43 minutes of actual show.
We thought there might be an after credit scene, but no, it was all credits.
Yeah, it was 6 minutes of credits at the end. And that, realistically, that was about the worst part of it. It was a pretty good episode. For me, this did a lot to show, like, some of the more, like, human side of everything. Mm-hmm. And they're doing a really good job of showing just how much, like, Thanos snapping half the world out of existence,
really
and then
fucked it up.
Yeah, them bringing everybody back 5 years later is just made it so hard for everybody.
It is because for the people that were gone for 5 years, it probably doesn't feel like they've been gone for 5 years.
Yeah.
And
no, it doesn't. They were gone. Next thing you know, they're back. Yeah. Like that was what Spider-Man said. He said, "Hey, I was disappearing." And the next thing I know, Doctor Strange is telling us to come, help y'all. It was just instantaneous. It was almost like going to sleep and waking right back up.
Right.
Because you remember we saw Monica in WandaVision. They had that flashback where she was wondering where her mom was at when she came back. She didn't even know she had disappeared. She just thought she had nodded off and like, oh, crap.
And she probably had. She probably had nodded off sitting there. But, like, because of that, they don't understand a lot has happened in 5 years, especially if you think about somebody that you were connected to emotionally. They had to do emotional labor to get over you being gone, because to them it was like you died.
It's been 5 years. Think about that. You've got people who probably went on and remarried and... Oh, God, that would suck.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine.
Absolutely. Or they just got used to you being gone, and they, like with Falcon's sister.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, I've had to hold this down for 5 years and raise my kids.
Yeah, and it's not his fault.
And it's not his fault, and she's like, but at the same time, she's like, don't come in here taking over my shit when I've been on top of it for this long.
Yeah. But to him, it was yesterday. Mm-hmm. Well, if anybody wants to blame anybody, blame Peter Quill. He could have stopped it all. No, not really.
Peter Quill. Because, it was that simple.
Look, I watched that movie the other day, just 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, my God, just the fact that we're sitting there talking about it shows that it was a good, I understand why he did it too. I understand why he lost his
that's
shit.
Real life, because, he is half human. Humans are like that, and they don't think when they're emotional like that.
It's like, well, anyway, okay, let's. We can sit and talk about this forever because it's a good talking point. I love it.
It is a good talking point, and it's the main theme of the show, really. Yeah. This episode is everyone getting used to.
It's the ramifications of the snap and the return.
Being back.
Which what they call the blip.
Yeah, they keep calling it the blip.
So. Okay, so we've got two main stories here. We've got one with Falcon, and then we've got one with Winter Soldier, Bucky. Mm-hmm. And so Bucky is having to go through therapy, and I honestly,
and it's required.
Yes.
To get him pardoned from everything he done with Hydra and yada yada. It's all understandable. You can't just. And he needs it,
He does, and that was weird because I'd seen somebody comment yesterday, and they were talking about, I hope Bucky gets over his PTSD, and I was like, I thought that's what they did in Wakanda. I thought they went into his brain and kind of helped him out. And
yeah, but he still has,
memories. I'm sure there's stuff under the surface.
You saw the nightmares.
Yeah, you can't just erase that stuff out of memory.
And he even said he had a little rest in Wakanda. But
that was it.
That was it, and that was it. Like, and that was because Wakanda, is literally off the map.
Yeah.
And he just had to recover, and that was it.
Hell, nobody even knew where he was at the time.
Right.
Because Captain America hit him. Just to where he could have some peace. It worked. I'm assuming that at this point, Steve Rogers is dead.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he died sometime between the end of Endgame. They say 6 months has passed. So, and that, that also tells me if 6 months have passed, that the whole WandaVision thing happened 6 months ago. Nobody's talked about that. I don't know if that's going to come up.
If they'll mention it or anything.
You would think they would. Unless they just did a really good job of sweeping it under the rug and nobody ever found out about it.
Yeah. Because they probably don't want anybody to find out about that,
Yeah.
It'd literally be a witch hunt.
Or maybe, well, never mind. I'm not going to get into all those theories, but
okay.
Okay, so Bucky's going around making amends, which
he tells the therapist.
Yeah,
that he's doing it because she says you can't do anything illegal, you can't hurt anyone, and you have to be like, hey, I'm not the one.
Not the Winter Soldier
not
anymore.
the Winter Soldier.
And I mean, he kind of did, but he didn't. It was funny.
And it was funny when he did that, Senator, because the Senator wasn't a part of Hydra, obviously.
But she was like a puppet.
But she was still abusing power.
Yeah.
And he puts a remote control device on her car and controls it.
Scares the hell out of her.
Scares the hell out of her.
Beats the shit out of the guy that's with her. And then was like, hey, I'm no longer the Winter Soldier. I'm here to make amends.
Right. Here to make amends. And I really like that.
The episode started with a really good battle where Falcon's going around, trying to take these guys out.
Oh yeah, that was great.
In airspace. That was super movie quality. And that's what Disney has said. They're saying it's like, okay, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'll go ahead and tell you, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is one of the best TV shows. I've sat through like 7 seasons of it, and it was amazing. But the problem was you could tell that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., while it had Phil Coulson in it, and while it had some pretty neat stuff, it was way below movie budget.
Yeah.
And you could see it. Like, there were times where, Ronan the Accuser is in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's Kree. He's got the blue skin and everything. In Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you could tell that the budget for makeup was about half of what it is in the movies. You could tell the difference between TV Kree and movie Kree.
Yeah.
But in the Disney Plus movies, they give the same budget to these shows that they do the movies.
Yeah.
And it is so, I would love to see them do like one more season of like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Or at least like a spin-off, like Agents of S.W.O.R.D. That'd be pretty cool. With this kind of
budget.
Yeah, budget, because oh my god, it would be so good. But especially the way they do it. And but that was a really good high budget scene. You've got these guys who are LAF who are going around raising hell, stealing money, and doing all this stuff overseas. They're kind of keeping an eye on it. We know that Baron Zemo from Civil War is going to make an appearance. Is probably going to be the main bad guy in this show. I'm pretty sure we've seen him. Like, here's the thing. The guy, I don't think Baron Zemo is the superpowered guy. Baron Zemo he doesn't have any powers, and his ability to fuck things up are in his mind. He's a really good strategist and stuff like that. I'm gonna, like, at the very end of this episode, we meet a new Captain America, which it really just gives you a sense of betrayal, because Sam was supposed to be Captain America. He felt like he didn't deserve it.
Right,
so
he said it felt like it belonged to somebody else. So he donated it to the museum, or so he thought.
Yes. They took the shield and gave it to a new Captain America. My theory, mark it down, the super-powered asshole who was going around fighting is the new Captain America.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, absolutely. There's no way that's not the case.
If that's not the case, and they missed out, I guess. I don't know. Like,
but you never, I mean, that's my, if I had to, like, lay money down right now, mark my words, for the end of the show, he is the Captain America. The Captain America, the U.S. agent, is really the bad guy. But I've been hearing that U.S. agent is going to be a guy who is legitimately a good guy. He's just a pawn of the government, and he'll end up. But I don't know. I'm really leaning towards him being the super.
Either way,
But here's the thing. That's the kind of stuff Marvel will do to you to make you think, oh, that's him, and they'll end up throwing some weird curveball that just, you know,
be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because we didn't guess anything of what happened with WandaVision.
No.
Everybody had all kinds of neat theories and stuff, and none of them were right. So, my expectations are a little lower with this one because I don't want to get my hopes up for some crazy earth-shattering event and then, you know, them just kind of have a little bit like they did with WandaVision.
All right.
WandaVision was great.
It was
probably one of the best TV shows
again,
I've ever seen. And I think that this will do nothing but get better as well. Marvel Studios has my full confidence that they can make this good. I'm looking forward to everything now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm even looking forward to Black Widow at this point because everything has just been. We haven't seen anything bad, and
it's been really good. And when they've gone to tell background to people, it's been great. It's been good writing.
Yeah,
really. Yeah.
And what I've discovered, which is really interesting, is even the shows or the movies that I didn't care for to begin with, after things have happened, and I go back and Thor: The Dark World was a big one, because, you know, we had Darcy, who was in WandaVision. I went back and watched Thor: The Dark World like 1 or 2 days ago. This was like Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, I know that used to be your least favorite.
Yeah, I went back and watched it. I was like, because knowing, you know, who she is now, having a little bit better grasp of her, after seeing the scene with Thor and his mom in Endgame, and knowing all of that, going back and rewatching the movie, it was so much better.
I believe it.
It was like whatever I gave The Dark World to begin with, add 2 points to it, easy, because it was. I'm enjoying a lot of the older stuff that I didn't care for a lot more now, because all the characters have been fleshed out a little more. You're getting a little more backstory, and now you can watch it and be like, oh yeah, there was some stuff that happened off screen right here, you know, stuff like that. So, and it was like, this is the last thing I'm gonna say. It was really neat because, you know, Frigga, Thor's mom, immediately after, in the timeline of the movie and everything, immediately after she saw Thor and had that little conversation, she immediately went and fought to the death to save Jane Foster. Like, that was, like, and having that in the background, knowing that she had just had a deep
heart-to-heart with future Thor.
Yeah, with future Thor, made that scene so much better. Because I don't think they spent enough time on her.
Right.
And I don't know, I feel like that scene just really fleshed out the character a lot better.
It did.
But, probably the biggest thing that we've not discussed yet on here is Bucky is hanging out with this old Japanese man who actually gets him a date with this woman that works at the sushi bar. And you know, the old man goes on and on about how he's struggling.
Missed his son.
He lost his son a while back, and he doesn't know how it happened and all this. And just before
he knows like it's something up, that's something strange. You know, he said the police said wrong place and wrong time, which it's not far from what really happened.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. But Bucky had a dream that he had went through on a mission, killed a bunch of people, and that dude's son was just there as a witness.
And he killed him.
Bucky killed him, and
because
now
he was a witness.
Bucky is with this old man trying to make amends, and
he wants so bad to tell him, but he knows it's gonna, hurt him, and he's gotten close to the old man.
Oh,
Bucky
God.
doesn't have any friends, like,
and he can't get close to anybody because he has to lie to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
What's he supposed to say? Hey, he even tells the woman he's 106 years old, and she just laughs it off.
Yeah, because she doesn't believe him.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think, like,
I'm 106. I mean, she doesn't believe him because
that, and everybody's just having such a rough time because Sam, he goes with his sister to get a loan at the bank. They won't give him that because, number one, apparently superheroes don't make any money, which is messed up. Like, here's the thing, would Sam...
Well, it was weird. The loan officer was like, "You lived off goodwill alone," like.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that, like,
he was gone for 5 years.
The government and corporations and all they fund all that shit. Like, I'm sure they go anywhere and they don't have to pay for nothing.
Yeah, but at the same time, they don't get paid.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't know that, but.
But yeah, he's like, also, you've been gone for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine.
Who the hell's fault is that?
Right. It's like, well, you have no history of being a hero for 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's just like, he was gone,
The dude was like, the guy at the bank, was like, I feel like I know you from somewhere. Did you play football or something? And
mm-hmm.
like, I don't know.
Sam thought he was going to be able to use his clout
to
get the loan, and it did not happen.
That didn't work out well at all for him.
And, I mean, that's how real life works, unfortunately.
Yep. Like, you knew going in that they wasn't going to get that loan. Hell, I called it right when the scene started. And
I was like, no. I was like, they're not going to have the money to, back it up or whatever. So...
That dude,
Then he had nerve to ask for another selfie after that.
Yeah.
First of all, he didn't ask for the first one. Let me clarify that. He just held out his phone and expected him to pose. And I thought that was
classless,
freaking
unprofessional.
Garbage. Yes.
Very unprofessional.
Unprofessional, classist, like you said. Because even though... Hey, you might have helped save the entire planet, but I'm not going to sign off with this loan because I don't want to, basically. Because they had the math worked out to where it was going to work and yada, yada, yada. And I understand, like, the bank probably was taking a risk, but at the same time, it's like, well, I guess these people have laid their lives down for you enough. I don't think one loan's going to kill y'all.
No.
But I would agree with you. It was classist. That he knew they were lower income. I also think they're black in Louisiana.
The guy the banker that they were talking to. This is just coincidental, I'm sure, but he looked like a kind of a rougher version of freaking Agent Sitwell. Who like played a big part in Captain America. Yeah, he was like Hydra.
Yeah.
Which coincidentally, he got killed by Bucky. Which is funny. He did, because when he was still the Winter Soldier, he yanked him out of that car and just threw him into traffic. They were going like 70 miles an hour down the road, and he just ripped him right out.
I remember that.
I forgot about that until I rewatched Winter Soldier a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, holy shit, I forgot Sitwell died. Like, he got killed by the Winter Soldier.
He surely did.
But one thing that bothers me, and I know pride is very big on stuff like this, but would it have been I'm having to ask the question, so I already know the answer.
Okay.
But would it have been rude or wrong for any of the Avengers who are struggling financially right now to, like, call up Hogan or Pepper and be like, hey, you know, we're really struggling right now. You know, is there any way, you know, you could, you know, maybe float me 50 grand or something?
Not even that much, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I
I could see them being like, yeah, okay, we can do that. Like, I can totally see them doing that for Tony's memory. Tony wouldn't want none of them to do without.
That's very true.
And I think that would be a thing, but they'd have to approach them. They're not going to just come out and be like, hey, here's you some money.
But what did the snap do to Stark Industries? I'm sure it didn't put them in the poorhouse.
No.
But do they still have that clout?
I mean, yeah, because they mentioned his Falcon's
Stark Tech.
So yeah, and how great it was. So, they still got it.
Yeah, maybe not even to the extent that they used to.
But they still got
it. It's like $500 billion is still 500 billion. You know?
Yeah. I mean,
like, you know, even if their wealth was cut in half, which is very likely that it could have happened.
It could have been, but they had so much it don't matter.
Yeah.
That's just the thing. And the technology's so great, it still doesn't matter because they're going to make it back. Like,
hell, Tony Stark's nanobot suit was probably a $1 billion item, and he had, you know, all those suits that he had. Well, he destroyed most of them, but I mean, hell, he was making Pepper. He was making her her own suit at the beginning of Endgame. Remember, because his daughter found the helmet.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, yeah, he was still
tinkering.
Had it going on.
Yeah.
Even when he lived out in a cabin in the woods. But anyway, do we miss anything? I think we got pretty much everything covered.
We got everything.
Oh God, what do you give this one? It
was good. I'm gonna give it. You know what? I'm gonna give it a 10. And I'm gonna give it a 10.
Okay.
Even though it's like maybe a 9.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna give it a 10 though. Just because like the character development was really, really good. You know, we got to see Bucky going to therapy and what all he's dealing with. And we got to see Falcon's family and his roots and what's going on there. And I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give it a 10.
That was always my thought. And I like how they're doing this. Mm-hmm. Like, in the comic books, you know, like, okay, comic book time runs, on average, about 3 years of real life time equals about a year in the comic book world.
Okay.
Roughly. Give or take. And think about how many adventures happened over 36 issues of comic book for the characters. And it was always, like, I had this thought years ago. I was like, how are these people just not out of their minds from just the constant stress of, like, possible world-ending bullshit that happens? How are they not just... How is every single one of them not suffering some kind of psychotic break?
Right.
And it's nice to see this show and even WandaVision, like really, WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier are both shows that about 80% of what's going on is dealing with the mental health of the main characters.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty much what these shows are about.
Yeah, because, you know, Sam is struggling really hard with Steve being gone.
Yep.
Really, really hard. He, you know...
Sam was never his own guy. He was always Steve's friend.
Yeah.
You know, he was that guy.
You're right. You're right. He
no,
was his pick. Partner in crime. 100%. You know?
Which is funny because they haven't even run into each other yet. This is Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and they've not even met face to face yet in this show.
Right.
They've probably not seen each other since the end of Endgame. You know, they probably went their separate ways, and now they're like, oh, yeah, I hadn't seen you since Steve popped up that one time. So.
Right, pretty much. But, like, he's... His way of dealing with that, though, that's why he's getting all in his sister's business. It's a distraction. I mean, no, he don't want to see his parents' stuff be sold.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, it's like, let me immerse myself into this situation.
Oh, I'll go ahead.
Instead of dealing with this. And then, to see that on the news, I can't imagine how he felt.
Oh, here's the thing. These guys are heroes. But if they didn't have the hero background, in a lot of other comic book movies and comic books, this is the kind of story that is the origin story for a villain. You know, like, you know, they, you know, did all this stuff for the world, and then they can't get a loan at the bank. That's where people start robbing banks. And start, you know, oh, you know, I've done everything I possibly could to make a living, and I can't. My back is up against the wall. I'm going to have to just turn to crime to do it. A lot of Spider-Man's villains were like that. Hell, a lot of Batman's villains were like that. You know, more sympathetic villains. Sandman, in particular, on Spider-Man, you know, he turned to crime to get money to pay for his daughter's, like, life-saving chemotherapy.
Right.
And... like, you know, the world doesn't, realistically, the world doesn't give a shit that they help save the world.
You're right.
They're expendable, and, you know, then they're going to get all pissed when they do stuff that they don't like. Of course, you know, at the same time, I'm sure there are still, in the government, still some bad taste in the mouth from where, number one, they're pissed at Bucky for being the Winter Soldier, because nobody really knows the true story behind that.
Right.
And I'm sure a lot of people are still pissed at Sam for joining up with Captain America when they went rogue in Civil War. So, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people like, you know, I don't give a shit what y'all think. We're doing our own Captain America, and he's a guy who's going to lick our boots and do what we say, and he doesn't have a mind of his own, so fuck y'all. You know, that's going to be kind of what goes on. So, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I'm excited. I am.
I give this a 9, by the way. Yeah,
I almost did, but I was just like...
There were...
I don't know. You know I'm a little partial to Bucky anyway.
The episode overall was fantastic.
Yeah.
But there was about a 10-minute span right there in the middle, 5 or 10 minutes, where I was like yawning and just kind of sitting here waiting for something to happen, you know. But otherwise, great episode. The other parts more than made up for it, and that's how it gets such a high score. So, I guess that's it. Can't wait till next week. We'll be doing it next Saturday. Same as usual. Also, be sure to watch out for our Walking Dead reviews, which, starting about right now, are going to be happening damn near every night. So, I'm trying to get them all published in time for the Here's Negan finale here in a couple of weeks. So, all right. We'll see y'all next time. I'm Lonnie.
I'm Amberlicious.
We are Untitled Nerd Network. We'll see you next time for another Winter Soldier, or Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm so used to saying that because the Captain America movie. But anyway, yep, we'll see you next time.